Good evening. My name is Richard. This is Over and Over and Over Again. It's 8 o'clock, and this is the Tuesday clinic. Tonight we've got a lot to get through. Couple of games to look back on. Not the greatest two Arsenal games in history, you have to say. Obviously, we'll look at the transfer window, what's left of it, not very long now. We need to get some business done, hopefully. And also, as well, from the archive section tonight, we are going to look at some of our January or mid-season transfers through the years, some of the good and maybe some of the not so good players that we have signed at this time of the season in previous years. Lots to get through. Coming up the other side of this. So it's a Tuesday clinic again. It's a big show. It's a bigger panel than usual, actually, which is great to see. Obviously, Melvin's back as usual. How are you doing this week, Melvin?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Yeah, fine. We're glad we ain't got football for a bit, though, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we can relax a little bit, I suppose, over the next couple of weeks. Adam, as well, good to see you back in your nice, lovely away shirt as well.
Good to be here. Like Melvin, I'm actually quite glad we got a bit of a break now, actually. The anxiety levels have dropped. So yeah, good to be here.
Exactly. Yeah, we can chill a bit. Dorsey again, back again with another great shirt as well. Different one every week. Always good to see you. Always good shirts as well.
I'm good, mate. Yeah, cheers for having me on again. Yeah, not so much looking forward to this week, but yeah.
Well, it's
going to feel a bit better by the end of it, eh?
We have to take the rough with the smooth, I guess. And making out the panel tonight, his first time actually on the show. Brilliant to have you on. Welcome, Liam. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. I'm sure we'll get a few things off our chest today, so it was good fun.
Exactly. That's what it's all about, isn't it, ultimately? That's why it's called the clinic, you see, because we come for our therapy session and we normally feel better afterwards. We got a couple of comments in already. Kiddo says, hey, how you doing? And Tom says, evening. Sorry, I didn't get back till late on Sunday. I know worries at all, mate. Not a problem at all. Good to see you in there. Right, okay. There's only one place we can start, really. What I thought I was going to do, just because there was so little to choose between the two games, is kind of maybe lump them both together, the Liverpool game and the Burnley game, because they kind of overlap very similar in performances, I guess. I mean, it's kind of like a dry January for us, isn't it? We can't score goals. We're not really creating too many opportunities in the games, if we're totally honest, either. And these last two games kind of summed up how things have been going in the last few weeks, really. I mean, the Liverpool game, disappointing again in the semi-final. We just never rose to the occasion. We looked tired. We just never really got going. And, Liverpool did the job they needed to do. They got the goals, and we never really give that a good enough go, I didn't think. A bit like the semi-final last season against Villarreal, and then of course Burnley, as we know, we ran into that wall of Burnley, the blue wall that they had, and we didn't have enough invention to break it down. And in the end, that's two important games, two big games. We spoke about them last week. We maybe didn't expect to be sitting here with no goals scored, and 1 point out of the 3 we could have got in the league, and obviously out of the cup in the way that we did. I mean, Melvin, that's a really disappointing sort of few days of football, wasn't it, from an Arsenal point of view again?
Well, the Liverpool game, we went out with a whimper, really, like a firework that ran all over the place. Suddenly runs out of gunpowder. That's exactly what we've done. All the kids have been doing so well. They just seem to just lack that bit of energy. I think it's just one of those things where Liverpool, they took what we had to give them the first 10 minutes. They went, right, now we can start. Once they started finding each other, we couldn't live with them, to be honest with you. We didn't deserve to win. We didn't change it around. We couldn't really. I mean, we haven't got the personnel to change it. We know practically one way, and that's it. And it was a shame. It was perhaps our best chance was winning it up there. We won with 10 men because we seem to make more chances up there.
Yeah,
I think that we didn't get at them again, Liverpool. All right, the first 10 minutes, and they took over the game, Liverpool. But you would have thought there would have been a spell that we would have put them under pressure. And it was like a game that, well, we're going to get beat. Let's just get beat. It wasn't even before the second goal went in, you could tell that we weren't going to do it. We did. We had one chance, I think. Martinelli hit it over the bar. That was really the best chance we had. Really, I think the closest after the first 10 minutes, and you could see the energy just seeping and the confidence seeping. And if you want to talk about the Burnley game, so many things to talk about that. I mean, really, why do we think if we cross the ball in the air, we're going to get anything against Burnley?
Yeah, I know. That was the annoying thing.
Was that about madness, trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result? Just sitting there going, no, please, don't do it that way. Get round the back. I mean, when Smith Rowe, who didn't have his best game, got down in the second half and crossed it in for Lacazette when he missed that was fantastic. Get behind the back. The best way, on the deck. But we didn't do it. I think we had about a 20-minute spell. We did put them under pressure. But the pressure really, there's only about 2 or 3 chances. I think Lacazette had another one where he did a fantastic bit of football, got himself just inside the box and shot. Yeah. I mean, I think when he shot, he had no confidence in scoring. No, you could tell his body language was just like, give it a little hit. And really, I mean, it's not the reason we got only a draw, the referee. It wasn't the reason their time wasting that we got a draw. But at the end of the day, you're sitting there and it spoils it for everybody. I know they had a job to do, Burnley, and they took the mickey out of us by doing it with the time wasting, and they took the mickey out of the referee. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, every time they had a goal kick, and that's when they were wasting most of their time, one of their players was having a chat to the referee. Every single time.
To distract him.
Time.
Yeah.
Why didn't one of our players go up to the referee and say, "Oh, ref, can you see what's going on here?" That's what upsets me as well.
Well, it was only with like a minute to go. Lacazette's going like this, isn't he? And that was right at the end. He wasn't doing it earlier, and I'm thinking, no. I agree. We should have made more of a thing about that because they wanted to waste time from about half time, really, didn't they?
Even before, and also, you want the captain on people like that to be in the ref's ears when Saka gets lumped every 2 minutes. You know, they don't get booked, he gets lumped. I think they've got to break his neck before they get a yellow card against him. It's unbelievable, the punishment he takes. I feel very, very sorry for him. And I'm ashamed we ain't got a player there that can, well, you can't have a player to get retribution because if we do it, we get sent off. So that don't matter. But it's just a shame. And that's not the reason we only drew. It was our own fault. We didn't show enough invention. We didn't have anything on the bench for various reasons to up the game. We were in first gear, couldn't get out of first gear for the whole 90 minutes or 86 minutes probably with time wasting. But, you know, it's and that is a fact, you know, all these things add up. But it just shows, is it bad planning? Is it letting people go? And you know you're going to be this part of the year with, you know, no one in midfield to play. You're playing a kid, Lokonga, who's got some nice touches. He could be a very good footballer. But if you're telling me he's ready this minute to be the only midfield player on our team, sorry, that can't be. He's got to have someone with him, and he's not experienced enough to do it by himself. Very few players are, and we've let ourselves in that situation. We've got one midfield player. I mean, my son who I went with, he said to me, "You might as well bring on Chambers and put him on midfield. Just another body there, really. So it gives the forwards more space to get up because we had some of our forwards dropping back so deep." We were never going to get near them. Anyway, it was very frustrating. Both games were frustrating. You felt like someone put a pin to your balloon in both games. And it's such a shame because we're close to something, or we thought we were. I think we still could be. But games like that, you lose a lot of confidence.
And unfortunately, games like that seem to keep cropping up, don't they, on a pretty regular basis. I mean, we've said this before, you know, we can put together 3 or 4 decent performances and you think, oh, we've turned a corner, things are going to fall together. And then suddenly we'll produce another 2 or 3 averagely bad performances. Actually, the good performances seem to disappear. And I don't know why it suddenly changes. And at the moment, you've got to say we have got a few issues, haven't we? Our bench is full of kids every single game at the minute because we've got people injured. We've got obviously the AFCON. We've got COVID situations, all this, that, and the other. And you know, we've got to factor in these things as well. But ultimately, we've still got 11 players on the pitch who should be producing better performances than they did in those last 2 games in particular. And I think that's the frustration. I mean, Adam, have you got any kind of some sort of positivity maybe? I know the 2 performances were not giving us a lot to be positive about, are they? Let's be fair. They were very, very flat and very similar to last season. I thought that semi-final against Liverpool was very similar to the Villarreal semi-final last year. Yeah. So we've not learnt from that performance last year, have we, really?
I think once again the semi-final was that one step too far, unfortunately. Before the game, and obviously we talked about it last week, I was really positive. Even going to the game on Thursday, I was leaving work, got on the train, I was feeling pretty positive. But then when I got in the ground, I don't know, Melvin, you were probably there, and that it didn't feel right. The atmosphere was a bit weird, and I was expecting to get in the ground and to be really pumping, bang up for it. It was already like, it wasn't a normal atmosphere. Like, we've had some really good atmospheres at the Emirates this year. We have. It's been a lot better in general. So I was thinking, tonight's going to be really, really good. But when I got there, I was like, go on, Mel. Do you agree with that?
You're right what you're saying. The funny thing is, where I sit with regulars, right? They weren't there. The people I normally sit with, I don't mean next to them, I mean all around. You recognise a lot of faces. I didn't recognise anyone.
The same with me. I'm used to sitting with the same guys. The guys who sit next to me were there. As normal, but the people in front, behind, no, they weren't there either. It was, there's a lot of people obviously just bought off general sale, and for a semi-final as well, it was nowhere near full. It was nowhere near full either. And I thought, it's a big game. This is like now probably our biggest game of the season. Like, maybe there could be bigger games later on if we're pushing for top 4. Who knows? And I was thinking that no one seemed really up for it, but when the game started, we'd done exactly what we needed to do. That first 5-10 minutes, we started well. We did start well. But then the problem with that is that we couldn't sustain it. One, because the fitness just wasn't there, and some of the players just knackered themselves out after 15 minutes. It was ridiculous. But then also Liverpool were very professional. You've got to give them their dues, Liverpool. They were very professional. They knew that we were going to come at them, so they didn't try and push it for that 10 minutes. They just sat back and kind of weathered that storm because they knew that we wouldn't have it. We wouldn't be able to sustain that because they knew that half the team hadn't even trained for over a week. Do you know what I mean? So they kind of were clever in the know-how of that. And then once they got a foothold, the goal was a bit fortunate, I thought, bit of a wrong foot.
Yeah,
it was, by the balance of play, it was probably, maybe at that time in the game probably was about even the balance of play. But overall, they deserved their win. But and I just thought they were very professional about it. They didn't try and do flash things. They done the simple things, and we could learn a little bit from that. And I think there was one player in particular. I don't usually like talking about other players' teams, but Curtis Jones in midfield for them, I thought he ran the show. And for such a young kid, and I'm looking at him, he's similar age to Lokonga, and I'm thinking Lokonga could learn a few bits from him because he had so much confidence. And I suppose that comes with the players around you, and also, a manager having the faith and putting you in that position. I was really impressed with him, actually. I was thinking, worth keeping an eye on. But with the fitness-wise, and even in the second half, when you could tell that the players were lagging, he just didn't make those changes. And then when he did make the changes, put Partey on, who would arrive back at midday from Africa. Yeah. I just thought that was bizarre. And I thought, we're 1 or 2 goals down. Why not put our kids on now? Why not put a bit of energy, a bit of life, get the crowd going? But, and by the end of it, it was just like a sense of formality. It was like, well, that was always going to happen. I wasn't shocked, disappointed, but I wasn't shocked about it. And, the Burnley game, I mean, that was a Liverpool game. Yeah, I thought it was I think it was an opportunity wasted, Liverpool game. And, maybe we go back to Liverpool cancelling the first game. But at the end of the day, the cards were laid out and we had that game to win and we didn't. So, it is what it is. But with the Burnley game, I was expecting a bit of a reaction. And we did play well in spells, and we did create some chances. I mean, Lacazette just looks void of any kind of confidence in front of goal. I mean, there's no, and I like Lacazette, and I think he can do a job, but he's not that striker who can score those goals. He's only scored 3 goals this season, and as much as I like him, he's I think in his head got himself into this kind of support striker mentality role now, where he's not expected to score the goal. So when he doesn't, you're not that surprised. But he's our number 9. Do you know what I mean? And he shouldn't be, our number 9, no matter who it is at Arsenal or any club, should be the goal threat. And, we missed those couple of chances. And the one right near the end when Smith Rowe cut it back, I think they analysed it on Match of the Day in the evening, and I thought it was bang right. He was in the wrong position. He was too far back. If he got more advanced, he wouldn't have done that. But I'm thinking, he's an experienced international striker. Like, surely these are things that you shouldn't have to be taught. He should be doing instinctively. But Burnley, again, we should not be drawing at home to bottom of the table team. They're nothing, are they, Burnley, really, unfortunately? They come here, they did a job, and they've done it well, unfortunately. But we should have still found a way through. So very disappointing. And I'm thinking about the whole goal situation. But is it the strikers? Is it the lack of things in midfield? I saw something on Twitter saying, in December we scored 22 goals when we had Partey and Xhaka, and then without them we haven't scored. I don't necessarily think that coincides. I don't necessarily agree with that's being a factor. I just sometimes think that we did go on the first few games of the season, didn't we? We couldn't score a goal until Norwich, But perhaps we'll bounce back. But something needs to change. We need that injection, and I know we're going to talk about potential signings later. Whether that comes from a new signing coming in, giving all the whole team a lift, or whether it, people coming back, I don't know. But we need something. We need like an injection of a bit of urgency coming in the club, and maybe this 2 weeks can give us. Well, it's nearly 3 weeks, isn't it? By the time we play again, give us that little bit of rest now. I think it's probably come at the right time for us. The way we have been playing. But yeah, overall disappointing.
I mean, you mentioned that obviously Xhaka and Partey in the team, we scored more goals. I mean, obviously those two aren't creative. They're not creating opportunities. They're not creative players. But having said that, maybe they just give us more of a solid base in midfield. So the attacking players maybe have got more space and more opportunity to create more opportunities and get more goals. And I don't know whether that maybe was a factor in it possibly as well. But
yeah. I mean, I didn't exactly add them up, but there could be something in that. But you can't really look too much into it, I don't think.
No, probably not. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it doesn't matter anyway, because you can't play with the same 11 every week. We said it before. The other players need to come in when they get an opportunity, and they need to be able to step up and do a job. And, they didn't this last week or so, these big games, they haven't managed to step up and do it really, which is
one
so
positive
frustrating.
I did draw. One positive I drew from the Liverpool game. I don't know if anyone else agrees. I thought Odegaard was really good against Liverpool.
Yeah, he played well, yeah.
Because he was the one, and again, we were talking, a while ago now about leadership. He was the one player who was trying to drag the team along. He was the one player who was dropping back, trying to get the ball, trying to push it forward. And he was on a different wavelength to everyone else. So I think, he's shown for me that he had that little bit of a desire to sort of get going. Just unfortunately, no one else was around him. But yeah, talking about positives, he would be my one positive from definitely the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
Game against Burnley as well.
No, I agree. I think he's playing well at the minute, actually, Odegaard, and you can see exactly why we were so keen to sign him permanently, because he is. You can see what a good player he is. I mean, Dorsey, you must have been as frustrated as all of us really with those two performances. A semi-final, we couldn't get it over the line again, and the Burnley game, a great opportunity to put ourselves back in good position for the top four, and we just couldn't get the goal against the team that we knew what they were going to do. You know what they're like. They've got big centre halves. They're good in the air. They're dangerous from set pieces, and we kind of played into their hands, didn't we? And we didn't change anything in the game to try and get a different outcome. We kept trying the same things all the time. It wasn't working, and in the end, it didn't work, and we ran into that brick wall, and we couldn't get the goal. I mean, what have you made of the last sort of week or so? Then it has been disappointing and frustrating, hasn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't overly surprised with the Liverpool game, if I'm being honest. I know we obviously spoke last week about it, and we were all relatively confident that we could get a result. But I think deep down, I probably wasn't as confident as maybe I made out. They're a good. I mean, Liverpool are in probably the top three sides in Europe, and I know obviously they're missing Salah and Mane, which are two obviously world-class players, but they've still got a very, very good side. And we're playing with a team that is just down to its bare bones. There's nothing left there, is there, really, for us to kind of pick from. I agree with everything that Melvin and Adam have said so far. I was just looking at the stats actually for some of the players. All of these players, you look through the spine of the team, you got Ben White, Gabriel, they've both played 18, 19 games in the league out of 21. You're looking at Saka, Smith Rowe, they've both played 14, 15. Saka, I think, was 19. So these boys are playing week in, week out at still a really, really young age. So it's going to take toll on them, and you're going to have a drop off in performance. Unfortunately, that comes with 19, 20-year-olds, and I think we seem to forget just how young Ben White and Gabriel are as well, especially for centre backs to come in and play week in, week out. at such a big club at that age they've done a brilliant job. But yeah, Liverpool I wasn't overly surprised. And if I'm being brutally honest, I wasn't that bothered either. I know we spoke about it last week. Yes, obviously we all want to see us win trophies. I get that, but I think it's with the position that we're in, the transition that we're in, I think being able to take that next step in terms of getting the right players in to really kick on, I think top four needs to take the priority. We have to do everything we can to get there now. If we don't, it's going to be it's very difficult to defend a lot of people at the club. But I wasn't too bothered about Liverpool. Burnley, I actually missed because it wasn't on TV, and I was actually out and about anyway. So by the sounds of it and from what I saw on social media, I'm kind of glad I did miss it. I kind of heard we were a little bit good in spells in the second half, especially. But aside from that, it was a pretty frustrating performance. And I think they're the games that bug me more because, like Adam was saying, there should be no reason we should be dropping points to Burnley. Absolutely none. For man to man, we've got better players, we've got a better team. There's absolutely no excuse really for those performances. And what frustrates me is that kind of result doesn't happen to other teams. Even Man United, even the mess that they're in and the transition that they're still going through, they would have still probably found a way to win that game. Spurs probably would have found a way to win that game, unfortunately. And the Burnley one was an incredibly frustrating result. There's not really much to defend in terms of Arteta or the players. All I can think is I look at the players that are playing week in, week out, and they're all 19, 20, 21, 23. You know, they're so young to be playing week in, week out at that level you're asking a lot. And unfortunately, the experienced players that we've got around him, Xhaka, Partey, you know, I don't want to come across as some whiny old Arsenal fan that points its finger at everyone else and it's not our fault. But these refereeing decisions, I mean, it's not a coincidence anymore, is it? I mean, it's been happening to us for years, and it's
worse.
I mean, this season itself it's really showing its head, and I just look at some of the penalties that have not been given against us, and it goes back to last year. I always remember the one away at Wolves with David Luiz. I mean, it's just how can it be so inconsistent and so obvious that even other teams are mentioning it that these decisions are going. It's just, I know Xhaka came out during the week and said he deserved the red card at Liverpool, and that's fine. The one thing I do like about Granit Xhaka is he'll always come out and hold his hands up. He won't shy away from it. He'll face up and he'll talk about it and try and move on from it. But Partey, that was probably the only bit I disagree with, Adam, because I think if you've got a player that's had a frustrating tournament away, I think all he wants to do is come back and he wants to play football. So I get why he played him. I think the wrong thing would have been to have started him, because that would have just been pure stupid. But I think if you've got a player that's really come back to show that desire to want to help the team, knowing that it's a position of the pitch that we are short in because of various different reasons, I think I don't see any harm in bringing him on. But I mean, the first one was a very harsh yellow card in my opinion. The second one was a stupid tackle. There was no need to make that, especially on a yellow card. But yeah, so something needs to be looked into with these decisions that are going against us, because it's every single week. Who gets 3 red cards in 3 games? It's ridiculous.
Well, only us, exactly.
Well, but it's stupid. And I know, again, I go back to the Xhaka one probably was a straight red. He was last man. He's denied a goal scoring opportunity, so I can see why that's been given. But yeah, the others are just, something needs to be done about it. But yeah, a frustrating week, a really frustrating week. The Burnley one bothers me more than the Liverpool one. But I think I agree with Adam that this 2.5 weeks has come at a really, really good time for us. Hopefully we can get some bodies in, at least 2, and just have a proper rest and recuperate and get back together and say, right, this is it now. It's top 4 or bust. And we go hell for leverage, just have a couple of weeks rest and really, really push for it. So we just got to see what kind of reaction we get away at Wolves next, I think, is it? And that's going to be a tough game. They're a good side there, especially at home. So, frustrating week. But
all I'd say about the Thomas Partey thing was, mate, you don't know what his mental state was. He'd literally flown in that morning, and he'd had a disappointment in the cup. Was he mentally ready to play? Obviously, we needed him due to the lack of numbers and the lack of quality on the bench, and maybe he was pushed into playing a little bit sooner than maybe was the right thing. But I understand why he was. But you could clearly see when he's on the pitch, he wasn't mentally in the game, was he? He was all over the place. Not just the two yellow cards.
What would you do, Rich, in that position? You've had a bad tournament. You've come back. You've played for Arsenal.
You'd want to play.
You want to come back and you want to play.
Of course you would. You'd want to play, but was he? Did not people around it to say, look, we know you want to play, but look at the travelling you've just done, the disappointment you had the other night. We need you for the weekend because with Xhaka suspended, maybe it was a wrong decision to have even put him on the bench. But anyway, I understand why he was on the bench because of the lack of experience that we had. And you could think, well, stick him on the bench if we need him. Did we need him at 1-0 down? Was he going to get us a goal? I don't know, but anyway, it cost us at the weekend because without Xhaka and Partey, you could see we did lack a lot of leadership and experience in midfield, and that was one of the factors maybe that we didn't win that game as well, which could come back to haunt us. I mean, Liam, I know you must be quite depressed now having heard all of that for the last 10 minutes or so. I mean, what have you made of this kind of, not just necessarily these last two games, but the performances kind of certainly since the Man City game? Nottingham Forest was poor, and yes, we played okay at Liverpool with 10 men, but we don't know how that game would have gone with 11. It would have been a different game. We don't know what would have happened there. And then, of course, the last two performances have been very flat. I mean, what are you making of things at the minute? Because we had a really good run, didn't we, before Christmas? I think we're looking pretty bright and rosy. We were scoring goals. Yes, we're beating teams that we should have beaten, but now it seems as like it's just we've gone backwards again to where we were a few months back.
I think for me, it just highlights the inconsistency of kids. Like we say, there's not enough leaders in the team to rally round the youngsters. Or the worrying thing is the main leaders we have in that team are two youngsters in Ødegaard and Tierney, and even maybe Gabriel to an extent. They're all 24 and under, which is ridiculously young. Lacazette, I think Adam said, I like Lacazette. I'm a big fan of his, and I think you can tell that he's very positive with the kids, but he seems that he's a player that when the kids are doing well, he's doing well. So I think he thrives off that. When it's down to him to bring them, he hasn't quite got enough in him to push them to that next level. They almost push him to that level. Because I think he thrives off that. And there's no doubting that when it comes to link-up play and stuff like that, he's fantastic. But do you know what? The whole club, including the manager, Arteta, people can have their opinions in, out, whatever it is. I just think, I look at Arteta the same way I'd look at Saka, Smith Rowe. I expect a lot of bumps in the road because he's a kid in his trade. He is basically no different to Bukayo Saka. Such a young kid in his trade that you have to expect the inconsistencies, but obviously there's more pressure on Arteta because he's the main man. But it just sums up, unfortunately, at the moment, the culture at the club. And it is that we are in the biggest transitional period for me we've ever been in. Because everyone, Edu is a kid in his trade. He's never done this job before. He's a young kid. Arteta, he's young. Vinay, he only got this job recently. He was already at Arsenal, but this is a new role for him. So every single person, whether they're a player, a coach, manager, no matter what they are, in their trade, they're a kid. They're a novice. So there's no leadership from top to bottom. And that is just why, in a way, when it's bad, you look at it and go, this is a mess. Because there's no one almost there to go, right, hang on a minute, let's sort this out. Because no one really understands and has done it before. So no one knows what the hell to do to get us out of it. Then, like you say, we'll play a couple of bad teams. Things will look good because, again, when they're on song, it reminds me, again, very much of the Arsenal League Cup games of the Wenger era when you see the youngsters play in the cup games and we win 5-0 against Sheffield United and stuff like that. You think, bloody hell, the future's bright at Arsenal. Yeah, it does. And then next week we play against a good team and you go, actually, hang on a minute. have I just got carried away with myself? And that's what it feels like. It feels like I'm watching Arsenal in the League Cup under Wenger, but every bloody week. And you just can't get the consistency. For me, I would like to say I had two positives for me for Burnley, but they were off the pitch. One, I got to meet Tony Adams, so for me that was fantastic. And I brought my 3-year-old to his first ever game.
Amazing. Love that.
So for me, it sounds awful, but I walked away going, do you know what? The result, actually, I couldn't care less, just because of the day I had was very different to everyone else, maybe. But now looking back, now I'm pissed off. But at the time, I was like, oh, it's fine, I don't care. He came into his first game. Then I watched it back the next day and thought, oh, actually, that's really pissed me off now, seeing it back. But I just think, unfortunately, there's not enough leadership. It's going to be up and down, probably more downs than ups, because there's just novices in every position.
Yeah, they are. I mean, and that's a good way of looking at it, actually, when you think about it like that. I mean, obviously, we do lack experience in every single area of the club now, don't we? From top to bottom almost. And yes, at times you can glaringly see what a problem that is. And this is why I've always kind of believed that, I've got no problem with kind of a project of younger players and all this kind of thing, but you've got to have experience mixed in there as well to guide everybody along and to get you through these difficult moments when you're having a tough game. You said about Lacazette there, and you're right. Lacazette was the captain, obviously. He's captain at the minute of the club, and he should be lifting the people around him, and he isn't. He's expecting people to lift him, and because he's a striker as well, I think strikers are a bit like that, aren't they? But this is one of the biggest issues, isn't it? The lack of leadership everywhere. We, like you said, we don't have it in behind. This is why, I want to try and believe that in 2 or 3 years' time, this project's going to reap benefits and everybody's going to be reaching a peak at the same time, and it's going to be fantastic. My worry is, one, will all these players still be here? Will they not get their heads turned by teams that's playing in Europe regularly, teams that's competing for titles regularly? And also as well, while we're waiting for this to happen and building, other teams are improving quicker because they're buying experienced players. They're buying these star players straight away to put in the team. And we're not doing that. Well, actually, and we've just seen in this transfer window what's happening.
On that point you said there, funny enough, obviously we've gone for Vlahovic and blah, blah. Newcastle have just submitted a bid for 40 million euros for Bruno Guimaraes, who we're meant to be after, and haven't even submitted a bid yet.
Saw that.
Yeah. This is the problem as well. We've got another team now with money that are going to be quite happily outbidding us right, left, and centre for anybody that we might be interested in, as Man City have done previously, as Man United have done, Chelsea have done, and it just it seems to me as though the progress that we may well be making, which is fairly slow, other teams are going to make that progress a lot quicker. Newcastle are going to be catching over and overtaking us before our project has reached an end. I don't think there's any question about that. And that's another team above us that we've got.
Mate, they've got to get back into the Premier League first before they even worry about getting out of the league.
I think they'll stay up.
I don't. I think they've had it. And just one quick comment on the experienced players. For me, and I think we probably all can agree with this, it's the experienced players that have let us down massively this season. All season. Granit Xhaka gets sent off every week. Thomas Partey's supposed to be stepping up. Yes, he's had glimpses of good games and stuff, but he's not been the player that any of us probably thought we'd signed. Aubameyang, I've got all the respect and all the time in the world for Aubameyang for what he did for 2.5 years at the club. I mean, he pretty much carried us for 2.5 years, but for whatever reason, he doesn't seem interested behind the scenes. He's obviously not a good influence. So whatever it is he's done, he's let us down. Lacazette, he's not let us down in the sense that it's almost like he's trying to do too many jobs at once. Like Adam was saying earlier, he's our number 9. He needs to be our goal threat. And what Liam was saying, he's great at dropping off. His link-up play is brilliant, but that's not what we need from him. We need goals, and that's what we need from him. So when you look at that squad, and I fully agree, you obviously need experience in there, but it's the experienced players there that we need to replace. And they're the ones that are harder to get rid of. We're probably going to struggle to get rid of Aubameyang because of the contract he's on. Who's going to want Granit Xhaka apart from Jose Mourinho, which he can have him. But it's the experienced players that are letting us down in it, and that's that doesn't happen very often at many clubs, and it's a shame that it's happened to us, because if you had the right mix of experience with them players that we've got there now, our progress would be a lot quicker than what we're seeing.
100%. Yeah, no, exactly. And that's the point, isn't it? So, yeah, I agree that the experienced players are letting us down, but this this kind of comes back to maybe the recruitment a bit. We're going to come on to in a minute with the transfer window, but it's like in the summer, we bought all these young players when we needed to buy experienced players, because our experienced players are the ones that needed replacing, and we didn't do that. And we haven't done it for 2 or 3 years, and we still haven't bought any inexperienced players. And this January window now is coming to an end. Yes, we were after 1 or 2, hasn't quite worked out, but even they weren't experienced players. But I mean, Vlahovic is only 21, isn't he? So he's not a young player, experienced player either. He's another youngster. And it seems to be, if we're going to keep buying 21, 22, 23-year-old players, that'll be great. But unless we start replacing the 25, 28, 30-year-old players with better players that can add to that or give that experience on the pitch, then the progress is going to be so slow that we are going to get overtaken. It's like we're towing a caravan on a motorway, and we're going to get caught by all these, Audi GTs or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And that's what's going to happen. And that, and that's unfortunately the situation that the project that we're doing. That's where it's geared towards for me, and it's just not. I can't see it working because it's going to take too long. Unless we start changing our recruitment, getting the experienced players in. Yeah, I agree. Xhaka's let us down a few times this season. Lacazette, Aubameyang, of course he has. We know he's let us down. But we haven't got anybody else, have we, that we can replace him with? That's of equal experience. We haven't. And we're not even looking like we're even looking at players like that, by looking at who we've sort of been talking about signing. And it is just so frustrating me, because you can see that we've got the basis of a good young team going forward, but we're missing too many pieces, and it doesn't look like we're going to try and even fill those pieces. I think Arteta's quite happy to stick with Xhaka. He's quite happy to stick with Lacazette. He's not looking to get him out of the team. He's not looking to replace him by the look of it, from what we're seeing from the transfer window. And I don't know. I'm not sure if this is I think we just need a little kind of rethink about where we're going to head in the next 2 or 3 years. Certainly if we're not in Europe again next season, which hopefully won't be the case. I mean, we might as well talk about the transfer window, actually, because it is going on. It's running out of time, and there's been a disappointment, obviously, the last few days that we're hearing. Obviously, the Vlahovic sign is looking as though that's not happening now. We seem to have thrown all our eggs into that basket, and we're now going to be scrambling around trying to get people in the next, what is it? It's only, 6 days left of the window, which isn't very long, is it? And we're still in the same position we were at the start of it, which is really, really frustrating when you look at the squad that we've had the last 2 or 3 games, so lacking in so many areas, and we're sitting almost doing nothing. It seems like we're doing nothing. I'm sure they're working behind the scenes. I mean, Melvin, are you honestly expecting us to bring anybody in between now and next, is it next Monday, isn't it, when the transfer window? Do you think we're going to be bringing people in? And if so, who do you think are the likely people?
I don't honestly know. I hope we haven't put all our eggs in one basket with this forward. But you've got to have a backup plan. They can't be that slow. They've done so well in the summer with their signings. Young, although they were young, they're good youngsters. I think they're all going to be fine. But they can't be sitting on their hands for 3 or 4. But you can remember, you can actually look at players before the window opens. So don't tell me they're going to wait for the last 6 days or whatever it is. Go now, oh, look, we better get someone. I can't believe they're that naive. We've seen it all before. But again, what is frustrating, I don't now look too much about transfers, who we're going to get, who we're not going to get. It's like with the when we score a goal, I don't celebrate until I get a confirmation email from the Football League to say it's definitely a goal. And I did that like with transfers. I don't, unless I see them and it's done and it's in the right people tell you on the I don't look at Sky actually a lot, but I might do for transfers. Unless it's actually done, it's on the news, it's done and dusted. That's the only time I think, because otherwise you just get let down. It's like bullseye. This is what you could have won. You know what I mean? It's really like that. So I just don't get. I'm too old in the tooth to get excited by transfers anymore. I'll wait till, was it Monday night? You say 12 o'clock, is it, or 10 o'clock or something? Whenever the time is, whenever it is, I'll stay up, watch it, see what's happening. And if we sign someone, we will. And if we won't, then we won't. I'm not going to get too excited about it, because this manager and Edu are going to be, I don't care what anyone says, they're going to be judged at the end of the season. If we're short, if we're playing games, I'm telling you now, we're playing games in February and March with one fit midfielder or a Lacazette, even though he's not playing well. If he gets injured and we've got to put Eddie in there for some reason, or players like that, or bring on a 17-year-old who hasn't had a shave yet. You know what I mean? We're doing that in March. You've got to have a look and go, hold on a minute, where are we going? Where's this actual concept going? You know, I mean, I'm not saying we ought to splash money on crap. No, never will do. But they've got to have had a plan. And so far, perhaps they must have a plan. I've got faith they have. But I don't know what they're going to get in. These obvious, like I've said, they need obviously a defensive midfield player, take the pressure off the defence. Though we've done well, we are still left wanting sometimes when it's just 4 against where we struggle. When we're on the back foot, when our defenders have to run backwards, like most defenders, you're at your worst, and we do that too many times. You've got a good defensive midfielder. He stops that from sorts, especially the passes coming in. We need a reserve number 2 right back, no doubt about it. That's shown up because Ben White played at right back on Saturday, and I forgot to mention that in the Burnley game. I have seen. I've never seen him play so negative in my life. He got the ball and he had the old give it square, give it square, give it back, give it square, like a robot. And I've never seen him do that. He might have been out of position, fair enough.
He wasn't comfortable, yeah. Wasn't comfortable at all.
Not at all. Not at all. And I thought really he wasted more time than the Burnley goalkeeper for the way he was doing. And also we need obviously a forward. We need a forward to stick it in the back of the net. Those 3 things are paramount. Perhaps not the right back. If I've got 2 out of 3, you let one go, it's probably the right back you're not going to get. But we need a right back, a good solid right back to take the place of Tommy when he can't play, or if Tommy's got to move into centre half for whatever reason. So that is paramount. And if we don't do it, it's like when I said before the Burnley game, if you don't beat them, it's our own fault. Don't look for excuses. And I stay the same. If we don't buy players, it's our own fault. I'm sorry. There's a big pond out there. You don't have to fish in that little corner. You can go wherever you want. And if we don't get the player, and let's face it, with all due respect with the players that are playing in the positions we're talking about, you don't have to have world beaters to buy someone. You can actually get better players than we've got, much better players than we've got, and they don't have to be the greatest in the world. So it's not as if we're just going for the 1 or 2 players in the world that are fantastic. We're not at that level yet. So let's see what happens.
I mean, something that slightly concerns me, and I don't know whether or not it's 2 reasons. Is it one, because we're not offering European football? It's uncertain if we'll be offering European football next season. Is that putting off certain players from, like Vlahovic, for example? Is that one of the reasons why you didn't look at Arsenal and thought that's a club I want to go to? And also as well, is there a possibility? I mean, Adam, what do you think that maybe is Arteta looking at only certain types of player, thus kind of restricting the options that we've got? He's not like opening himself up and saying, well, I can buy that player and I can make him adapt to our system, or I can buy this player. Is he looking at players, well, I want to buy this player only because this player fits what I need, and I'm not going to be able to change that? Do you think that's maybe restricting who we could possibly, or we're even looking at?
I think that the past 2 windows have shown we are looking at a certain type of player, both, profile-wise. We are looking at a player who's young, who can come in and fit within the team and play a certain style, possibly who can grow with the team or get a decent resale value. Looking at the signings we've made, basically that's the way that we're going. Under 23 years old, good potential. I know they go a lot on stats and analysis. I think that that's obviously the way the team are going. And they've said that before. They've said this is the profile of player we're looking at. So I do think that he's got players like that of mine. And I do think the players that we do get linked with would come under that category. So, yeah, I do think you are restricted with that because, especially in January, especially getting that type of player in January is more difficult. Everyone says it's more difficult. Prices get inflated. Not many players, if they're in the first team of where they currently are, will want to move and up sticks during the season. They'd much rather wait until the end of that season because they can probably negotiate better contracts. Plus, they can see where the teams are going to be finishing the league, what competitions they're going to be playing in. So I think that it is difficult to sign players unless they're real mercenaries, at this time of the year, which is just the way it is. Oh, there's loads of them around if you want those kind of things. I mean, I'm really confident that we will sign someone. And the only reason I'm confident is the fact that we've got rid of four players, haven't we, so far, whether they're on loan or released. Was it Marie, Kolasinac, Maitland-Niles, and who else am I thinking of? Balogun, yeah. Obviously on loan, etc. So the fact that we've let these players go shows, like we've had before, we've had to let players go to free up space in the squad and wage before we've signed players. And it's nothing like we haven't done that before. So everyone's like losing their shit, excuse my language, about this. But we've done it before. We've done it in the past few windows. So part of me just thinks that's the way we have to do things now. Until we've got a squad, that is small enough, we can't just go and buy players unless we get rid of players first. So I'm pretty confident we will get some. I think we'll possibly go for 2. I think, like Melvin says, 100% agree we need a right back, but I think that will wait till the summer because we have got Chambers, we've got Cedric who can play there. Nowhere near as good as Tommy, but they are players who can play there. But I do think we'll get a centre mid and a striker. I mean, for me personally, if I was going to go for a couple, I think that we could get 2 loan signings in that one to get us through to the summer, and then go and get maybe someone who we're talking about in the profile. I like the look of Jovic from Real Madrid. He's not getting a look in over there. He was prolific when he was at Frankfurt. He's got Champions League experience, Europa League experience. I think getting a player like him on loan, we're relatively risk-free for 6 months and see how he gets in. And if he does do well, again, he's only 24, I think. He's still very, very young and, he's just not getting a look in at Madrid, but he's a decent player. And I think Wijnaldum as well would be a no-brainer for me. Like, just having that Premier League experience, kind of calm head. He's won the Championship. He's won the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not getting a game at PSG. And I think by all accounts, they'd let him go. Like, we could get those 2 on loan, and not have to pay full wages, pay half. Those 2 players could see us through and get us pushing in the right direction to the end of the year. Would they be my first 2 choice players in those positions? Probably not. But for right now, I think they could do us a job to the end of the season. I mean, a player I would love us to go after, whether it's now or in the summer, would be Tielemans from Leicester. I think, in centre midfield, he could be ideal for us, the kind of way he plays. Again, he's still got that young profile. I think he's only 23. He's box to box. He can score a goal, but he can also put a tackle in and create. I think someone like him would be perfect for us. But no, and if I had to pick 2, I'd go for those 2 on loan, relatively risk-free, and then reassess in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, Tielemans would be a fantastic signing. I can't honestly see us getting him now in January. I mean, whether we'd be able to get him in the summer, we'll have to see. But yeah, he would be a great signing. He's a great player, Premier League experience, which I personally like. I prefer players that have played in the Premier League because at least they shouldn't have to take 6 months to settle to a new country and a new league. So I would like players in the Premier League already, I guess. But time's running out, and we need people now. And this is it's almost getting to. You remember that one? Was it in 2011 after the Man United game where we went out and bought 5 players on deadline day? Almost a panic, some of them, like Andre Santos, for example. And I don't want us to do that now and panic into buying crap players. I want us to get the right players that we need. But surely by now, if that was going to happen, we would have got them, wouldn't we? I mean, Dorsey, are you expecting much movement now, very, very late on in this window, or do you think we've the horse has bolted, if you like, for now?
No, I think in the January transfer window, I think we've still got time to do some business. I get a bit frustrated with kind of tried to stay away from social media the last couple of days because it's just been quite frustrating. You see fans just talking about we're not signing anyone. Why are we still after Vlahovic? It's almost like the club can't win. People are wanting us to sign these top players, so we try and do that. And yet everybody's saying we should have moved on from him. There's no way in the world that Arsenal didn't get a flat no from the off. There's no way. They would have had. I mean, Fiorentina for sure wanted to do business with us for him because they wanted Torreira. By all accounts, we've got a decent relationship with Fiorentina. So Fiorentina, they obviously wouldn't have ideally wanted to have sold Vlahovic to Juventus. It's you're strengthening another team in and around you. So I think it's a shame because it has wasted 3 weeks of the transfer window trying to get him, but there's no way that Arsenal would have stuck with that had they not got some encouragement that a deal could have been done. And you can't, as a fan, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, right, I want to go and sign the best players in Europe. And then when we try and do it, you try and get that deal over the line and then have a pop to say that, well, why have you not signed him? I probably think we should have moved on from him about a week ago. For me, and I remember Arteta saying this at when he first joined that you shouldn't have to convince a player to come and play for Arsenal. Regardless of what situation we're in, we are a huge club, and whether people like it or not, you should never ever have to convince the player to come and play for the Arsenal. So if he's not keen, you move on. It's as simple as that. But
Agreed.
I do think we'll get something done. Actually, what Adam was saying, and I think Jovic, I think that's a no-brainer by all accounts. Real Madrid are literally offering him to us to say, look, take him on loan for 6 months. So I think unless you're going to, whatever you do, the other targets that we're looking at by all accounts are Calvert-Lewin. Has been mentioned quite a lot the last couple of days, but again, it's probably you're looking at 60 million. I like Calvert-Lewin, but he's only really done it for 18 months. Injury concerns as well, which we don't need, especially in that position. We're already short. So I would probably be quite happy to take Jovic on loan for 6 months and see how he gets on, because from looking at him, he looks built for the Premier League. You know, he's a stocky guy. Like, he's not tall, lanky, streaky. You know, he's a well built lad. So I think he's probably built physically for the Premier League. So I would take that, and I think I would actually do anything we could to try and get Wijnaldum on a permanent deal if we could, because like Adam was saying, it's a no. He was phenomenal for Liverpool, and there's not one Liverpool fan out there that wanted him to leave. So
they loved him. They absolutely loved him.
They absolutely loved him, and he was phenomenal for them. So if there's any way that we could get that done, that for me would be. He'd be right up there. Tielemans is again a good player, and I'd love to see him sign. But what are you looking at? You know, you're still looking at another 23-year-old, and yet people keep saying they want experience. But Rich, you know you want Tielemans, but
experience isn't necessarily experience. Isn't just age. Experience. I mean, Tielemans has played a lot of games in the Premier League already. He's won trophies.
No, I understand that. But there is profiles that we're looking at, obviously, and we are looking at age and. Tielemans does fit a lot of those brackets, but we do need some older heads in around there as well that do have experience in terms of being there and doing it, not just in the same league. So I do like Tielemans, but I don't know. I mean, it certainly won't happen in January, but yeah, for me, I'd love to get Wijnaldum if we can. I would like to see that happen. Jovic is a no-brainer. I can't see us bringing in a 50, 60 million pound player now. I think they went all out for Vlahovic, and that's obviously not going to happen. And if I'm honest, quite frankly, I'm quite glad that we're not going to get him, because he seems like a bit of a, well, we just said it, a bit of a mercenary, really, didn't he? So maybe we move on from that. But I'm still confident that we can bring a couple of players in. Our right back is needed, but I don't think it will be a priority for this window. I think you do need a centre midfielder, and I did see I think it was today or yesterday, after another centre back. I mean, we not got enough centre. I know we got rid of Mari, but we not got enough centre backs.
Yeah,
that's probably the one area that we don't really need strengthening at the moment, isn't it? In terms of numbers, certainly.
And in terms of convincing players, I think obviously you said we can't offer European football. We don't have any guarantees that we're going to have European football next year, so we can't offer that. And we've got 16 games left this season. You got the 16 league games, and that's it. So we don't really want a huge squad. We just need we need one that's bigger than the one we got. You know, you need somewhere in between 12 and 15, 16 players that can be fit week in, week out, and not have a problem with spending some time on the bench, because we just haven't got the games to rotate properly. But I guess the positive in that is that we've only got 16 games, and the players that we do want to see playing week in, week out should, touch wood, be all right now, you know, bar any serious injuries. We should be okay. But yeah, I'm still quietly confident that we can bring a couple of bodies in.
Yeah, and I think we need to. I mean, Wijnaldum would be a good signing, actually, whether it's a loan or a permanent deal. I think that would be a great signing for us. Experience in the Premier League, as we said, good quality as well. He can play a couple of different positions in midfield as well. I mean, Liam, is there anyone that you think we are going to buy, or do you think maybe we're leaving it too late again and we're going to miss out on who we really want, and we may have to just settle for a couple of loans just to see us through?
Yeah, I just think give it the on Monday 10 o'clock we'll get Kim Kallstrom in on loan again. So job done. We'll be fine. We'll have our centre midfielders injured, so it'll be perfect. But it's just, I don't know. Yet again, do you use the term panic buy? Is that what it's going to become? We'll just get someone in for the sake of it as a stopgap? Because like we've said, when you think of centre midfielders, when they're not suspended and they're fit, well, obviously we have got, Granit Xhaka and Partey, and then we've got obviously El Neni to come back, and we know he'll do a job in certain games. Obviously the Conga, but the one player that's not been mentioned so far by the panel, and again, like Dorsey said, I do want experience, but I'm going to name a 23-year-old here that's been in the Premier League for 3 years. But I'd love to see us sign Douglas Luiz from Villa.
Yeah,
I think he's a proper holding midfielder. He sits there, he does his job, he disciplines. A lot of people, again, and I don't know what everyone's opinion on it is. Everyone, a few of my mates today were saying, bring back Torreira. And I just think that, for me, that's the urgency inside them saying that, because we haven't got anyone. But actually, Lucas Torreira reminds me of an 8-year-old at a school lunch. He just runs after the ball like a pit bull, like an 8-year-old just chasing the ball. But then when actually you lose the ball, you need him there, and he's over there chasing the ball, or he's over there. And for the fans to watch, you go, wow, this lad's tenacious. Oh, yeah, he's great to just whack someone and go chasing after the ball. But when you're playing against a Man City and they pick you off, he's not where you need him. So actually, he's not the type of player we need. But I get the urgency of people, and they go, we need someone. Why have we not got him? Because he's still not really the answer. Douglas Luiz, for me, would be a fantastic signing. As I said, he's disciplined. I like him a lot. Again, I know it's hit and miss, because I agree actually with what Dorsey said and the fact that we need experience, but also actually in agreement with you, Richard, that experience isn't all about age. It's about actually how long have you been in the Premier League? How long have you been playing at that level? And I think he's done it for enough years now to go, actually,
is Douglas Luiz the one who's come from City?
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean,
City have got first refusal on him, I think.
Well, he worked with Arteta at City when he was there. Now, we don't know how good their relationship was. Does Douglas Luiz want to come and play for Arteta or not? That could be a factor. He may well do. He may jump at the opportunity, but and obviously Arteta knows him as a player. Does he like his character? Is he the sort of player he'd want to buy? These are things that could, get in the way of that deal, maybe, or maybe it might help it to go through. We don't know what the relationship they had, but I agree. Douglas Luiz, I was mentioning him about a year or so ago, actually, but for Arsenal. I thought he would be a good signing for us back then, and I think he's had another steady season at Aston Villa. But then again, you've got to look at it. Aston Villa are building something now under Gerrard. They're improving. They're getting some good players in. He might look at that and think, you know what, I'm better off here. You don't know, but that's a worry as well. But I agree, Douglas Luiz is a good player, and he would be a good signing for us. Certainly long term. Again, he's young but experienced.
Going back a few years, the teams like Everton, well, perhaps that might have changed. Everton, Leicester, and Aston Villa. We could, if we wanted to, pick off their players like other clubs would. We can't do that anymore. The local pool in the UK, as far as we're concerned, has got so much smaller. It's more and more difficult to say, I'd like this one or I'd like that one. You've really got to go for the teams that are struggling or going to look like they're going to get relegated to say, look, come and join the Arsenal, I'm afraid. As you say, the Aston Villas with Gerrard there, they look like they're going one way at the moment.
The thing being, though, is like, teams like that are just not going to sell to a rival, because Villa will see us as a rival now.
Yeah, exactly.
Upper echelons. And that's the problem as well now. Like, a lot of people I've seen on Twitter just do my head in sometimes. Why didn't we go for Martial? Why didn't we go for Van der Beek? Man United are not going to sell to us, especially on loan. They might sell to us if we want to pay a lot of money, but people are saying, oh, Martial on loan 6 months, Van der Beek on loan 6 months. It's a no-brainer. Yeah, it is, but Man United are not going to strengthen us, are they, when we're going for the top 4? That just does my head. Can you not see how football works? It's like they're not going to give us these players. It's just
but I think the problem with that is, Adam, because we've always given our players to Man United when we were challenging with them. So maybe they think, well, it's time to have it back, get some back. You know what I mean? Get a few players back.
Yeah, we got Silvestre from them.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
Welbeck.
I mean, Welbeck was all right, to be fair.
Mkhitaryan.
Well, Mkhitaryan, no one. Yeah, he didn't quite work out.
Sanchez with Van Persie. Yeah, I'm not quite sure who got better off there. But
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it is obviously something needs to be done. The problem now is, I suppose, whatever signings we buy, these are going to be players we've been working on for 4 or 5 weeks. If we sign them in the next few days, everyone's going to say, oh, it's a panic buy because it's happened at the end of the window. It doesn't mean it is a panic buy. The ones in 2011 were clearly panic buys because that was just shit. We just lost 8-2. We need players and just got anybody that was available. But now it might not be like that. You know, we might have people that we've been speaking to for weeks and we've been negotiating behind the scenes. After time with Arsenal, we will sign a player that we wasn't expecting us to sign. We did it in the summer a couple of times, you know, and it might happen again. There might be one or two players that we've been speaking to. It's not been in the press. Nobody knows about it. It's not been spoken about. And then in the next few days, what they might arrive, and that'll be great. And maybe Douglas Luiz is one of them, because I've not really heard too much about him actually in terms of strong interest with us. Obviously, the Arteta links and stuff like that have been mentioned before, but yeah, we'll have to see what happens. It's a big few days, isn't it? Because we do need some bodies in one way or the other, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's starting to get to panic kind of stations, isn't it? Now, where you're thinking we need somebody now, whoever it is, and I don't want to be happy with anybody that we buy because we panicked into buying them. I want us to make the right signings. Even if it's on the last day, it doesn't matter. If it's the right signing, I don't care when it is between now and Monday, as long as we get the right players in and not just anybody to fill the numbers up. Because we've done that plenty of times before. Some of the names we've mentioned, and I would say we will probably mention a few more now, because what I want to do is our little archive section is quite fun, and I want to look back at our January signs, or mid-season signings, we'll call it, rather than just January, because some of them have been maybe before or after in previous years gone by. So we'll look at them. Could be quite a laugh, actually, because there'll be some good ones, no doubt, and some probably really poor ones. I've already mentioned one or two. I mean, Liam mentioned Kim Kallstrom not so long ago. He was one of the good January ones, wasn't he? Obviously, the picture there of Aubameyang was probably one of our biggest ever January signings, actually, in history. And certainly for a while, as we mentioned before, it went pretty well. It's gone a bit sour now, as we know. But there's been so many interesting signings that we've made in January, both good and bad over the years, or not so much, I say mid-season signings, shall we say. There's going to be quite a few we could talk about, I say good ones and bad ones. I mean, Melvin, what have you got in your list of maybe good and bad, perhaps? Give us a few.
Well, one of my favourites, Suarez.
Dennis Suarez, yeah, Dennis Suarez.
Dennis Suarez. I thought that 13. Well, I think he was on for 13 minutes against Man United. We were holding on to a lead. I thought he'd done very well. But is he coming back from injury soon or what? Because
a couple of weeks. My
favourite ever December signing, because it used to be December years ago, like a Christmas present. I'm showing me age, but you know how old I am. Was Alan Ball. We bought Alan Ball in 1970. We just won the double, and it was the next season. And obviously, teams at the top got this habit of trying to still improve their team, which you should do. And we bought Alan Ball, and I loved Alan Ball, even before he was an Arsenal player. See him in the World Cup and playing for Everton when they won the league. He was a beautiful touch player. He was. He could do, fantastic. So that was great. I really like that. I was very excited when we bought a Sharvin. I see him in the European. Was it the European Championships, the World Cup?
Yeah, Euros 2008.
He was outstanding. I couldn't believe we're getting him. I know we were higher esteemed than we are now, if you like, a better catch. But he had everything. I think that probably we played him too wide all the time. He had so much skill he can go past players both sides. And he could shoot. He had a great timing, great runs he could do as well. And it runs into the box he could do. I thought we could have done a lot better with him if he played him like in the middle.
Number 10.
I don't think he had that.
Wasn't he?
He didn't have that, though, did he?
Stick all these bloody players on the wing. Now then, as I said to Richard before, I'm not sure if this was the couple of these were signings in the window, but Benayoun, was he a...
No, he was in the summer. He was a summer loan, wasn't he?
Yeah. He didn't play a lot for us, but I thought he was terrific.
He was a good player. Yeah, he was brilliant. I liked him. Yeah.
I mean, the success is obviously Aubameyang, as you mentioned, but the Debuchy, was he
No, he was a summer as well. He was a summer.
I'm struggling. We know Cedric was. We know Mari was. But I don't want to really talk about them.
No,
I'm guessing here now. What about Baptista?
No,
he was a loan, and he was a sort of a September loan, wasn't he? Just after the transfer window shut and the loan window was open. I think he came in at that point, didn't he? But But yeah, Baptista, he was interested in signing.
When did we sign Ozil? What was Ozil? When was he?
Ozil was a
He was
summer
summer.
signing. Yeah.
I
Deadline
could be
day.
coach, shall I?
Yeah.
Go on, carry
Mel,
on.
there's
Go on, boys, carry on.
Mel, there's a huge one that you're missing, mate. Probably the most famous one.
Go on.
I've got a couple. Go on, Dawsey, you've probably got it.
Go on,
No, that's
Dawson.
all right. Well, Sol Campbell. He was January, wasn't he?
He
Was
was
he
he was
January?
alone.
Second
He came
time,
back on
wasn't
loan, didn't he, in January?
And
Was that the re-sign or is it? Oh,
Thierry
okay.
Henry. Thierry Henry come back, didn't
Henry,
he?
yeah.
Thierry
Not
Henry,
the
yeah, he
same
came back on a loan as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Easy to forget they were January signings because obviously originally they were summer signings, but they did come back on loan in January, so that they can obviously be included. I mean, Thierry Henry, what a fantastic loan signing that proved to be for a few games.
Yeah.
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 Who else have you got then, Adam?
So, I mean, Noel's already mentioned a couple of them. Dennis Suarez was one that I put down, which was just bizarre. Like, obviously, Kim Clarson's you mentioned. The one
Never
that
played.
Shavin got me really excited as well. But going back just
Yeah.
before that, Reyes, he got me excited.
Yeah, Reyes, he was a great one.
When
Yeah.
he come, because I mean, at the time, I was watching quite a bit of La Liga, and he was at Seville, I think, and he was just ripping it up. And when we were linked with him, I was just thinking, God, he's going to be great. I loved him. I mean, he always tried. Didn't quite work out for him in all, but I thought he was a great player. And when he
he
brilliant.
was.
That
Yeah.
game against Chelsea, when he first kind of got his first couple of goals, that was
Oh,
superb.
yeah. Brilliant. Was that FA Cup?
Yeah, the FA Cup.
Yeah, it was superb. Got 2 goals, didn't he? It was amazing.
Oh,
But I mean, others for me, like I remember the window when we signed Adebayor and Walcott. Same window, same time.
Yeah, we did.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Walcott obviously played nearly 400 games for us, and although he didn't really, I think, ever reach his potential, he was a decent servant for us. He scored a lot of goals, you know. So I think in theory that turned out to be a decent signing, a lot of longevity. I mean, Adebayor cost like 3 million, you know, and I think he's one of the biggest regrets because for a while he was unplayable up front. You know.
He had a great
absolutely
midfield behind
unplayable.
him, Adam, though, didn't he? Clever and all
So,
that.
yeah, that's the
Fabregas, he
problem.
had
I mean, like,
fabulous midfield with Ziggy behind him.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if we could have possibly kept people like him, Nasri, like we could have had a great team for a bit longer. But it is what it is. But I think business-wise, that was a good bit of business in January signing him. I mean, there's been quite a few actually, if you think about it. I mean, I won't mention many more because I know that I won't want to take Liam and Dawsey's ones away. But they were the ones that stuck out for me. It was Arshavin and Reyes for being exciting, and then Adebayor and Walcott. Because I think at the time it was like a bit weird. Like most people wanted Walcott to play, but he didn't really play for about a year and a half. And then Adebayor coming, no one knew much about him, and he was a decent player at the time. I thought, I didn't know much about him coming from Monaco. I wasn't really clued up on the French league back then. And at first, I thought he just looked a bit gangly and a bit awkward. But once he bulked up a bit, he was unplayable.
He was. And that one that came that same window was actually Abu Dhabi as well.
That's it. I couldn't think of the third one. I knew there was 3 that come at the same time. Diaby, that's it.
He could have been so good.
He could have been.
He could have been one of our greatest ever January signings if he didn't get his leg snapped in half at Sunderland a few months later.
On his day, he was a brilliant player. Absolutely brilliant. Remember the way at Liverpool one year, he was amazing.
Oh, phenomenal. And I think away at Villa he done it and all. Away at Villa.
He did have a great game at a Villa game. Yeah, he scored that great goal, didn't he? But yeah, no, that was a shame what happened to him. I mean, Dorsey, what have you got any more to add to our list of so far? It's a pretty good list actually. There's a few ones we want to forget on there, but overall, it's a pretty good list actually.
Just a quick comment on Phil Walker. I hate seeing the disrespect that kid gets against Arsenal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyone that scores over 100 goals for Arsenal has done all right in my book. So it really pisses me off when I see the disrespect he gets. And I think it all boils down to him going to the World Cup at 16 and people making him out he was going to be the next big thing. I think it kind of set him up to fail, didn't it, really? But
wasn't his fault, was it?
No,
exactly,
I've always liked Phil Walker. I always thought he gave us a good option, and he scored a lot of goals. He just said, fantastic player, really.
Yeah.
He scored
a goal against Spurs as well, didn't he?
He scored a lot of big goals actually, didn't he? He scored an FA Cup final, he scored an FA Cup semi-final, Champions League, big Champions League games, League Cup final. Yeah, he scored in big games. Every single time there was a big game, he stepped up and scored. So he deserves respect, and he doesn't get enough. I agree, and that's a shame.
Yeah. So I've got a couple here. So one that I always liked, a player I really liked actually, was Nacho Monreal. I thought he was a great signing. We didn't know it at the time, did we? But looking back on it in hindsight now, I think he was that guy never ever let us down, did he? He was superb.
Solid,
Absolutely
wasn't he?
superb.
7 out of 10 every game, yeah.
He got better as he went along, didn't he? He used to get a few goals at the end of his career with us.
Yeah, he did. There was one season he got about 6 or 7, didn't he?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
What else we got? I've got a list in front of me, actually. I won't say too many because I'll leave a few for Liam. But we've got Gabriel Paulista. He was a January signing.
He was, yeah.
He divided opinions, didn't he, Paulista? He was a hot. He doesn't strike me as a kind of bloke I'd like to play against. Put it that way. He's gonna probably stick one on you, but yeah, maybe he didn't get.
Did he get a chance, Doyle? Do you think he got a decent chance? I don't.
No, I don't. I don't. And it was the same with that Mavropanos. He was a January signing, and I think he's done a brilliant job out in Germany. I think he's superb, and it's Yes,
I mean, you mentioned Gabriel Paulista. Do you remember that? Was it the FA Cup semi-final against Man City? He was absolutely brilliant, wasn't he? And then he got injured, and then he never really came back after that, did he? He was brilliant that day, and I don't think he really got enough chances. And you could see he had something about him. Yeah, I agree. You wouldn't want to play against him. Was that time he got sent off? Wasn't it? Was it with Drogba? Wasn't it? He got in. I know it was Diego Costa, wasn't it?
Chelsea. It was Chelsea.
Diego Costa, wasn't it? He got involved with him and ended up getting sent off. But yeah, that was quite good.
I'll mention one more and then I'll leave the rest. But Rio Miyachi, remember him?
Oh my God, yeah, that worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah, good signing that was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
we've had some good ones, haven't we? But yeah, we've had more shockers than we've had good ones. I think it's
we've had some stinkers. Yeah, we have had some stinkers. There's no doubt, and obviously that would be one of the.
Yeah, Miyachi was the one who went on to Fulham though and done all right at Fulham, didn't he? Is that him? No, it was Inamoto.
That was Inamoto. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the aim actually. I don't know where he went after Arsenal, but I think he played like one game or something, didn't he, or something like that? And that
I still laugh to this day that Inamoto's got a Premier League winners medal. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely superb.
Yeah,
people like Harry Kane.
Inamoto.
Yeah, Junichi Inamoto.
Oh yeah, I remember him. Yeah,
Japanese guy, orange hair.
Did he play enough games to get a medal?
Well, no, not really.
I've seen loads of pictures of him. Either that or he nicked one.
I think he nicked one. I think he just nicked one. I don't think he played enough games to get one, but he was in the squad, I suppose. But anyway,
someone else is still waiting for theirs then.
Yeah, exactly. Some people are never going to get one, are they? I mean, Liam, you must. There must be a few left on the list that maybe we haven't mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was a loan signing, but Odegaard last season.
Yeah,
January. I know he's become permanent now, but a good signing.
Yeah.
Kolo Touré was bought in February.
Actually, we did. He didn't play to the following season. Yeah.
If you want to go, like you say, mid-summer, whatever you want to call it. I mean, what a signing that was, Kolo Touré.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah.
What a player he was.
And another one, which probably for me, this might be controversial, but I think you'll know what I'm saying. Could have been better than Thierry Henry, but Nicolas Anelka.
Yeah,
terrific player.
Yeah, actually, because he was about 16 when we signed him, wasn't he?
PSG, but had to wait until the following year really to get his time. But I mean, I genuinely believe he could have been better than Henry. He was that good.
But he was rated higher than Henry at the time, wasn't he? Because they both came through that Fontaine Academy together, didn't they? And he was more highly rated than Anelka at the time. Yeah,
I saw his first game, Anelka, away at Derby.
Derby, that was it. Yes. Funny enough, I don't know if you've seen it, the Anelka documentary.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
I haven't watched it yet.
I found it very. I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't change my opinion of him, but it's good. It's worth a watch.
No, it's definitely a good documentary. I enjoyed that. But it did kind of change my opinion on him a little bit. Actually, I kind of quite warmed to him as it went along. To be honest,
I blame the brothers a lot more. Don't get me wrong. I think they were in his ear quite a bit. But apart from, I mean, the other one, which Mohamed El Neni.
Yeah.
You know.
He's done all right, hasn't he?
Listen, I actually don't mind El Neni in the sense of you know what you get with him. You know, it's not. You're never going to get a 9 out of 10. But you're not going to get a 5 out of 10 with El Neni. You get a 6, maybe a 7, and that will be it.
Yeah, true.
I've said it all along that every squad needs players like that. Every squad needs players like that.
We could have done it in the last couple of weeks, couldn't we? Could have done it.
We loved him at the weekend and last week.
Yeah, we could have done. Yeah, exactly.
He'll keep the ball. It'll keep it ticking, and the only other one I've got, which along the same lines of Rio Miyachi, was Thomas Irefield.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah.
He went to Fulham, didn't he? Did he go to Fulham?
He was at West Brom on loan, I think, wasn't he?
West Brom,
Yeah.
that was it. Was it? Yeah.
No, he was really highly rated, wasn't he, when we signed him?
Yeah.
Really highly rated. And he scored. I think he scored for us against West Brom, actually, ironically enough, didn't he, in the League Cup? And then it never really kind of worked for him. And I don't know where he's playing now. Actually, I've kind of lost. He'll still be playing because he was really young, wasn't he, when we signed him?
Gnabry wasn't January, was he?
20.
Who?
Serge Gnabry. He wasn't a January signing, was he?
No, I think he was.
Don't know where
he was just because he was a young player, wasn't he? With the young players, you can sign them anytime, can't you?
Yeah, I can't remember how young he was when we got him, but yeah, he was one that I wish hadn't got away.
Well, obviously, I think we all do now. I haven't seen how good he was. He never really did much. So when he played for Arsenal, he had one or two decent games. I remember there was one game, was it Swansea away? I think it might have been when he had a decent game. Yeah, but he never really pushed on for us, did he?
Didn't he have a good game against Spurs? Didn't he score against Spurs or something?
at home to Spurs in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, he did.
Decent goal.
Yeah, he had a few decent games, but he never quite.
Right. At Swansea, he had a good game. At Palace,
whatever happened to him?
I don't know. Not heard much about him
against Spurs in the Champions League. That's what he's doing now.
Yeah, but no, I must admit, I think we're all a little bit surprised at what a player he's turned into from when we saw him at Arsenal. You saw glimpses of it, but I don't think any of us expected him to go on and do what he's done. And
he wasn't good enough for West Brom, was he, at one point?
Oh, yeah, Tony Pulis couldn't stand him.
Pulis said he was awful. He wasn't deemed good enough. No, definitely not. There's a few others on the list, actually, I think are probably worth a mention. I mean, there's hundreds of them probably, but a couple. Carnu was a January signing.
Oh, brilliant.
Love him. He had some moments, didn't he, in the Arsenal shirt? Good player, exciting player to watch. Another one maybe that I quite like, John Hartson. He was another, I think he might have been a February signing because it wasn't January.
That was a very late one. That was Graham. We signed 3 at the same week, didn't we?
Yeah. Kiwomya was one of them. Another one, Glenn Hilder came as well.
And that was when the window shut around March time, wasn't it?
Yeah, they came in February. There was actually one of my favourite ever Arsenal players joined in sort of January or December or January. Brian Talbot from Ipswich, 1979. He had a great career at Arsenal. Yeah. Another one, Steve Williams as well, December 1984. We signed him midway through the season. He was a good signing, I thought. Steve Williams liked to tackle, had a bit of a temperament issue at times, but a good player. And also someone else who maybe didn't have the career at Arsenal, we hoped he would. Melvin will remember him, Vladimir Petrovic.
Oh, I loved him. He was brilliant.
Yeah. 1983, December 1983 it was.
I think he was only with us 1 year.
Yeah, half a season, that was it. He played about 15 games.
He scored a fabulous goal, a free kick against Aston Villa, a 30-yard free kick.
Yeah, he was a great
passing was unbelievable. But the reason they sold him, I was told years later, because I couldn't work it out. Because I was watching the home game. He was brilliant. Away from home, we didn't want to know, evidently. They said,
I think it was too physical for him, wasn't it? It was too physical for him. He didn't like. You saw in games, as soon as he got tackled, he was like looking around, thinking, "What are you tackling me for?"
Was he related to Mesut Ozil by any chance?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's where Ozil was inspired by him. But he was a great player, Petrovic, actually. Yeah, that was a good signing. Yeah, another couple that we've got, Paul Mariner. He joined us in February 1984. He was a good player for us, of course, recently passed away. So, R.I.P. to Paul Mariner, great player he was. And another one that Melvin may remember, his injury ruined his Arsenal career, Alex Cropley.
Yeah, Aston Villa. Signed him from Hibernian and he went to Aston Villa. He had
a good career at Aston Villa, actually. I think he broke his leg playing for Arsenal in about his 3rd or 4th game, a bit like Diaby, actually. And he never recovered from that.
No, he wasn't about the same player. But he went on to play for Villa and he did very well for them, I think.
He did do very well for them, yeah. He looks a good, I mean, a bit before my time, but I've seen clips of him. And the final one I want to mention, just because I really like him, Emmanuel Eboué. He was a January signing and he was a bit of a legend, wasn't he?
What a character.
God, yeah, interesting.
He's had a few issues. Oh, there is one more actually that we may remember or not. Cabadiawara, who remembers him?
Oh my God, don't. He was the greatest footballer to hit a bar I've ever seen. He loved hitting the bar.
I blame him for why Man United won the treble.
Yeah, exactly.
Leeds away.
Leeds away, don't.
I was there.
You have nightmares.
Yeah,
I went in
was
that
there
game.
as
I couldn't believe it. He was 3 yards out, and he hit the
Yeah.
bar. He
He
did
hit the
well to
bar,
hit the
yeah.
bar from that far,
Nightmares.
that close in rather. And he hit the
He played,
bar.
I think he played 10 games for Arsenal. He didn't score and he hit the bar about 12 times. If all them had gone in, he'd have been our greatest goal scorer in history, wouldn't he? His goal scoring record would have been phenomenal. But
I think he went to West Ham, didn't he?
I think he did at one point, yeah.
I don't think he scored for them either.
No, probably not. But yeah, he just someone that, you know, if you remember him playing, you'll never forget him, put it that way.
Yeah, that's true.
Very
For the
true.
Why
wrong,
did you
for the
mention
wrong
Ruby
reasons,
in there,
unfortunately.
Richard? Thank you.
Yeah, it just sort of cheered us up a bit,
Leeds.
really.
Oh.
Cavadiawara, what a great player he was.
The Ashley Cole Gallas swap, that wasn't January, was it?
No,
That was on deadline day, wasn't it? A summer deadline day one that was, which never really worked out well for us, did it? But anyway,
Never thought we would. Never thought we would.
So, but no, there was a few kind of, there's a few names there on that list, January signings, are good and bad. And we've had a few good ones. I personally think Aubameyang's probably been and Reyes maybe as well for the impact that he had. A January signing.
For me.
Who?
Yeah, I'd put
Walcott for me, I'd say.
Walcott as well, yeah, to be fair. I never look on him as a January signing because he didn't play until later on, did he? But yeah, he was a good January signing, actually. He was only, I think he was 16 or 17, wasn't it, when we bought him? Yeah. And he was a great player as well. Obviously, the most recent one, Erdegaard, could well be another one to add to the great list in the years to come because he certainly had a decent start to his Arsenal career. But let's hope, though, in the next couple of days, we get another one that comes in, January signing, that proves to be the best of the lot, maybe. Tops everybody. Let's hope that's what we get in the next couple of weeks, because that would be great if we did. There's actually been quite a lot of comments. Actually, I've not been ignoring them. I've been trying to, we want to talk about what we're talking about. Going back a bit earlier, Tom said we want to get top four. Dorsey will talk about that before. We're too hit and miss. It's not that I don't want us to get the Champions League, but some of the performances we put in this season, it could be embarrassing. Well, I mean,
we ain't the only ones that are inconsistent.
No, we're not.
Spurs are inconsistent. United are inconsistent. West Ham are inconsistent.
Chelsea even.
Yeah, Chelsea even. If
Well,
we'd have won our game, we'd
yeah.
have only been 6 points behind them or something stupid it was.
Yeah. Tom says there, I'm just trying to be honest, we aren't a Champions League team at the moment. We have to be realistic. Well, no, but at the end of the day, you don't know if you're a Champions League team until you qualify for it and you're in it, and then you find out. I think we'd buy a few more players and stuff with a bit more money. Terry says there, in 3 years' time, we should have a good enough team if we stay together to win the Championship. I hope you don't mean the Championship. I hope you mean the Premier League and not the Championship, because we don't want to be winning that in 3 years' time, do we? So let's hope
we should be able to win that.
Well, yeah, hopefully we're never in it to find out, actually. But anyway, we'll see. Russ is in the chat. Rusty says, going into the summer, we could have Balogun as our only viable forward option. Yeah, but you're forgetting the January window's still open and people are going to be coming. We've already said they are. Terry says, can you honestly see Saka, ESR and Martinelli staying at Arsenal in 2 or 3 years' time if a big club comes in for them, or stay under Arteta and this rubbish he's turning out week in, week out? I've said this before, that players like that, if we're not competing in 2 or 3 years' time, are they going to be looking elsewhere because they'll be getting to that sort of age, 22, 23, 24, where they're looking at their career and thinking, if Man City come in from, for example, that's going to be tempting, isn't it? And if they come in with a big offer, it's going to be tempting for the club. That is a worry. We need to have a better squad and just be getting better results, I think, to keep people away.
I might be optimistic, and I'm probably going to at some point in the future be let down by this comment, but Saka and Smith Rowe, they're different. I think, and I hope that I'm right when I say that, because I don't think they are the kind of players that will just jump ship. I really don't. I might be wrong.
I think we all want to feel that because they've come through the academy. We know how much Arsenal means to the pair of them. They've grown up together and stuff like that. But when you think about it, look back in the history of Arsenal, some players that's come through our academy, great young players, how many of them have stayed when the team aren't successful? They don't, do they? They end up moving on. Liam Brady ended up moving on, one of the best of the lot, because Arsenal wasn't giving him what he wanted. Frank Staple, and there's been lots in history of Arsenal, great Arsenal players. You can never see them leaving because they're Arsenal through and through, came through the system. And I hope you're right. And not, at this moment in time, you can't see them wanting to leave Arsenal. But in 2 or 3 years' time, if we're still where we are now and we haven't really progressed, we're not maybe playing in Europe, we're not competing for league titles and cups. And Man City come in from, or Liverpool come in from, or Real Real Madrid, if whoever it might be, they're going to be tempted. They will, regardless. And I think even us, we're Arsenal fans, and we would love to have played for Arsenal, right? And if we played for Arsenal, we'd be we'd be over the moon. But ultimately, if the team weren't doing very well and a better team comes in for you, offers you more money, offers you a good contract, you're going to be tempted, aren't you? Even us as like massive Arsenal fans, we would still be tempted in that situation because you look at it in a different way. It's your career, isn't it? It's not. This is a hobby to us, essentially. It's our hobby, isn't it? Arsenal's our hobby. It's not our life. It's not our career. It's their career. They've got to think of, haven't they? And would they? I don't know. It'll be a tough decision for them. Let's put it that way. Hopefully, we'll be in a better position in 2 or 3 years' time, and it won't ever happen. But it'll be a tough decision for them, wouldn't it? If a Man City comes knocking 150 million, 200 million. Look at Grealish. He was an Aston Villa boy.
I was going to say Grealish. He's Aston Villa.
He got tempted away, didn't he? He got tempted away. It happens. Yeah. It does happen. And I'm hoping. I'm with you, Dorsey. I really, really hope that neither of those two do leave and they spend their whole career at Arsenal. They do a Tony Adams or whatever it is and just stay and stay. But Tony Adams stayed because the team was successful, winning trophies. And that's the difference.
Rooney did it, didn't he? Rooney did it.
Rooney.
He made Everton, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, but he moved away. Exactly. Yeah, he was a big Everton fan. He moved away. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it happens because people. He had an Everton tattoo on his arm or something, didn't he? And he joined Man United. But
it doesn't happen often. But Steven Gerrard would be an example that sticks out in my mind that he wasn't always successful at Liverpool. I think he walked away with a League Cup winners medal, a European, UEFA Cup, and then a Champions League, obviously. But they probably wasn't as successful as he wanted them to be. But it happens, but yeah, I do agree. It doesn't.
There was rumours about him.
Why he nearly went to Chelsea? I know he did. He obviously nearly made it.
Plus, as well, he did win the Champions League with Liverpool, and that on its own is probably enough to make you think. Well, actually, I think if we won the Champions League, I can't see any of our young players wanting to leave if they experience that with a club they grew up with. Regardless of what happens after that. So I don't know. I think that may have been a part of it. But yeah, it does happen. Players do stay. You don't get many one club players anymore, though, do you? It just doesn't really happen. Gerrard's probably the last one, actually, isn't he? Probably, maybe
John Terry.
Yeah. But again, John Terry was at Chelsea when they were winning everything. He's not going to want to leave, is he? Why would you want to leave your boyhood club when you're winning trophies with him every week, every season? You wouldn't. And, I think that's ultimately where it might come down to. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we can win trophies, and they'll want to stay. Tom says they wouldn't get to any Premier League team. It was bad enough when Fabregas went. I know we got it from Barcelona, but he was a gooner. And for him to go to Chelsea, what's stabbing about? Yeah, exactly. We've had a lot of players, haven't we, that have done that and gone. But anyway. We've got the True Sets Free. He's a little bit annoyed that I call him a Spurs fan because he says he supports the Spurs community online and some Arsenal channels, not the Spurs team. So he wants me to stop calling him a Spurs fan. Okay, I apologise. I did say actually when he first started coming in the chat that eventually by the end of the season I would convert him into being an Arsenal fan, and we're getting there. He's changed from being a Tottenham fan to being a Tottenham community fan, and now he's going to become an Arsenal fan by the end of the season. So that'll be good.
I don't understand any of that.
Supporter of the Spurs people.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it doesn't make sense, does it? But anyway, no. What I think he means, I think he supports like Spurs community online as opposed to the team on the pitch. I think that's kind of what he means as opposed to being a fan of the team. But yeah, who is a fan of the Spurs team? Really, nobody. I know that admit to it anyway. Tom says, David Bentley. Well, yeah, David Bentley was not really the best example to use, is he? When you're talking about loyalty.
He lives down the road from me.
Does he now?
Yeah, he lives down the road in Hertfordshire from me.
Do you not go around and see him at all?
No. I've seen him around a bit though. He's got a nice place down the road, and his kid used to go to the same school as my little one.
Really? Wow.
Very competitive on the sports days.
He used to take part in the farmers' race.
I'll get him on.
Yeah, get him on the show. That's it. It'd be good to get him on the show. Actually, that would be brilliant. David Bentley. Well, I remember that goal he scored.
I see it going in the corner shop. I'll go in behind him. David, excuse me.
Yeah. No, definitely do it. Get him on the show. That'd be great. Actually, he did score that great goal for us against Middlesbrough, didn't he? So we can talk about that and one or two other Arsenal moments that he had. We don't want to talk too much about where he went afterwards, of course. But anyway,
Blackburn's okay.
Well, yeah. Blackburn, he did go to Blackburn. Yeah. He actually did quite well at. He actually did well at Blackburn, didn't he? He did have
a hat trick against United on he went
Man United.
Officially signed.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Just talk about that and leave it there.
Just to let you all know, I've just opened Twitter. Silly, Twitter's having a complete meltdown about Bruno Guimaraes going to Newcastle.
There you go.
They literally don't even bother. It's a complete meltdown.
Well, talking about strange January signings, I've just heard that Roy Hodgson's taken over at Watford.
Yeah.
Which is he still there?
What do you mean he's still there? He's in just.
They sacked him for 2 minutes.
He took over 5 minutes ago, and they've got rid of him already.
Yeah, you might not have been there. You might be old news, Richard. That's old news, mate.
Their managers are getting older and older. Watford, getting older and older. You know,
they are. Yeah, I mean that's mad that you come out of retirement to go. I mean, they sacked Claudio Ranieri, who won the Premier League, and they get Roy Hodgson, who had to get out of retirement. You know what I mean? He was in his saga holiday.
Running out of people. Everyone's managed them. They're just running out. It's got this list.
Ranieri got sacked because he was too old.
I think Allardyce will be there next. Surely he ain't had a job for a while.
Steve Bruce, maybe.
They just tick them off, don't they? Just go down them. Yeah.
They seem to be getting every single manager they can find, actually, and. I mean, Roy Hodgson's all right. I got nothing against him. I love that interview he did that time. Do you remember when he got a bit sweary after some game because he didn't like the question he got? A few of them clips have been going around the last few days, actually. So
he's one of these guys that if you like football, you can't really not like him. Like he's been there, done it. You know, he's one of these guys. Like no one's really got a bad word to say about him.
No, it didn't quite work out at England, but there you go. I mean, not many. It doesn't work out at England for very, very few managers, does it? Really, when you think about it. But anyway, yeah, he's a nice guy, Roy Hodgson, and I'm sure he'll do all right for Watford in the 10 games that he gets, or whenever. You've only got to lose 2 games at Watford and you're out the door, aren't you? I mean, that's interesting, actually, isn't it? That, you know, a little club like Watford who go up and down between the Championship and the Premier League, they get rid of managers right, left, and centre. And then there's other teams very rarely get rid of managers. Like West Ham, someone said Watford have had almost as many managers in the last 10 years as West Ham have had in their entire history. I mean, that's just.
You say that about Watford, though. I saw the other day because you do think of them as being a yo-yo club, but 6 out of the last 7 seasons they've been in the Premier League. Before they got relegated season before last, they spent 5 years in the Premier League.
They did have it. That's true, actually. Yeah,
they were still chopping managers, even though they were sustaining. And that's the biggest thing. Like they weren't an up and down. So if they were up and down, you can see the manager thing. But they were sustaining for 5 years, 5 seasons. They stayed in the Premier League, but the managers still weren't good enough. What do they expect? It's like, you know, what's the expectations there?
I mean, they're Watford at the end of the day, aren't they? Let's be honest. You know. Is Elton John still involved, or has he checked that in?
He got sacked.
Did he? Oh, okay.
He sacked him as well.
Probably listened to his latest album. That's why. And that was enough to get you sacked, isn't it? But anyway, but yeah, I mean, you know, that's you know, slightly away from Arsenal. But I just saw it a little while ago on Twitter that Roy Hodgson's taken over at Watford, so I thought that was quite interesting. But anyway,
good luck, Roy.
Well, yeah, good luck, Roy. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know,
who's going to get the Everton job?
Roy Hodgson.
Yeah.
Well, now actually, yeah, they're in the market as well, aren't they? Everton.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see. There's a certain ex-player. There's a certain ex-Everton player who's currently managing the Premier League that could do a good job at Everton, maybe.
I wonder who that is.
Don't know. There's at least one I can think of. Anyway, Terry says, I just had a text saying Melo and Isak not very convinced by Arteta to come to Arsenal. I mean, Isak or Isak, he looks like a good player, actually. I really would like us to sign him. I can't see that happening. He's got a release clause in his contract that I don't think we'll reach anyway, but he would be a great player. I don't know about Arthur Melo. I don't know too much about him, actually. That was only going to be a loan anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember at Barcelona, he was very good at Barcelona. But...
A decent player. Again, I think a loan job, I think he could do a job for us on loan, definitely. I don't see why that's a hold up. I think Juventus are playing silly buggers there about, you know, wage splits and stuff like that. But I think for a 6-month loan, it's a decent deal.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I believe that about not being convinced by Arteta.
Yeah,
every single player we've signed have said it was Arteta that's convinced me to come here. The project, you know, what they're trying to build. But I'm not sure I'm necessarily convinced by that.
No, probably not. But I guess when you look at it, though, the profile of players that we've signed, they're young players who would jump at the chance of playing for a club like Arsenal. And it's a big opportunity for them. But some of these maybe more experienced players who have played for big clubs around Europe, is the Arsenal going to excite them? Is Arteta going to excite them when you look at how we're doing and how we've done in the last couple of years? I don't know. I think certain players are going to be really excited to join the project. And as you can see, the players that we've signed. But if we want to go to the next level, we are going to have to sign players at that next level. And are those players wanting to get involved? And at the moment, it doesn't seem as though they do. But whether that's to do with Arteta, whether it's to do with the state the club's in, whether it's to do with we're not in Europe, whether it's to do with the performances that people have seen, I don't know. But anyway, money talks at the end of the day. You can get any player you like if you pay enough money for them and you give them a contract with enough money in their back pocket every week, and the agent gets paid a few million quid in his pocket and all. You can get the deals done if you want the player bad enough. That doesn't, regardless, because money will override how the player feels about anything. You know, it doesn't stop deals happening, does it? And unfortunately, we don't do that, do we? We don't just go and say, here you go, here's 150 million, and that's it. We've never done that in our history, and we're never going to start, I wouldn't have thought. So unfortunately, that's what it is, and we just have to do the best with what we can get, and hopefully we'll get somebody in at least. We do. I agree with what you said. We need at least 2 players this January, I think, a midfielder and a striker. And if we get the right ones in, maybe we can go on and get top 4. But the good news is, I think Melvin mentioned it earlier on as well, we've now got a couple of weeks off, 2 or 3 weeks off of football. And I think that it can't come soon enough, because it's been getting steadily more and more frustrating as January's gone on. Goal of the month for January is good, by the way. We can announce the winner. Bukayo Saka has won goal of the month for January for the goal against Man City. A great goal it was, but a very lack of competition actually around it. But anyway, that was a good goal, and it was exciting at the time. But anyway, that's our goal of the month for January. Terry says, I support Arsenal and I ain't exactly excited by Arteta. A lot of people aren't excited about Arteta. That's because of the way that we play, I guess. But anyway, talking of which, actually, there's been news, hasn't there, about a new contract potentially being offered to Arteta at this point in the season, which to me seems a little bit hasty when the season could still fall apart. I mean, this is the first time in 30 years that we've been out of all the cups in January. 30 years it's been since we were last in this position. That's a long time. And you know, Arteta's the manager that's behind that. So, I mean, Melvin, what would you say a new contract for Arteta? Should we wait till the end of the season, or should we just think, no, let's fend off all these big clubs in Europe that are going to want a manager who keeps finishing 8th in the Premier League? There must be a queue of them waiting for him. Do we need to fend them off? Actually,
they must have got this contract drawn up when Saka scored that goal, I reckon, because things so good. And the ink's not quite dried. I mean, who in their right mind would give a manager, in whoever they are, in where we are, the timing now? What's the upside to the downside? I mean, it reminds me when the clever FA, because they're so clever, gave Capello doubled his wages. Their reasoning was because we're going into a World Cup. They said, well, look, if we win the World Cup, Capello might get a good offer to go elsewhere. Let's win the World Cup and have that problem, shall we?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you could always double his wages anyway. Why are we giving it to? I'm not knocking Arteta for this. I'm just saying the club. I'm not thinking. If it's true, they're not thinking this one through. If he does badly, you've just doubled someone's wages and time for no reason. You've got someone else around your neck now that you can't move with. And if he does well the next 6 months and the club does well, he'll want to stay with us. He's got a project. I don't understand the thinking. Sorry, if it's true, it's madness. It's baggy trousers as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, you've pretty much summed it up exactly right. I mean, if we do well and we're in the Champions League next season, he'll stay. We can offer him a contract then because we'll have more money anyway. But if we offer him a contract now and he's going to be tied into it and it doesn't go well, if we do end up getting to the point we're going to sack him, he's going to have a bigger payoff. It's going to cost the club more money, and it's going to make us less likely to do it. And no matter how bad things go, it just, I don't know, the whole thing seems crazy to me. I mean, I know Dorsey, you would offer Arteta a new contract, wouldn't you, straight away? Or would you want to wait?
No, I would wait until the end. I'm not against giving him a new contract, but I don't think it's the right time to be. I think there's bigger priorities to worry about than sorting that out. Like we've all said, I think he wants to stay at the club, so I don't see a mad rush at the end of the season, wherever we finish, to take him on. I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not against giving him a contract. I would like to see him stay, but it's not the right time. There's bigger fish to fry right now than worrying about that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, Adam, do you think it's a little bit strange that this is coming out at this point where there's even been talk about? I mean, how true it is, I don't know, but it seems strange that it's even been mentioned at this moment, doesn't it? When, as Dorsey said, we've got so many other issues to worry about, and it's not like we're doing well enough to think that everybody's going to be knocking on the door.
I mean, first of all, I don't think this has come from any reliable source. There's a lot of talk going on, but I'm yet to see it come
Daily
from.
Mail, wasn't it?
Exactly. That's the thing. I mean, like, I've seen loads of news about it, this, that, and the other, but it's not come from like David Ornstein or someone like that who's close to the club who breaks stuff. So unless it comes from someone who's really reliable, I don't generally read too much into it. But if it was true, yeah, it's not the right time. I'm with Dorsey though. Like, I think I don't want to become a club like Everton where we swap managers, or Watford like that. I don't want to be in that kind of trouble. So they've let Arteta sign these players that are clearly in his plans. So it would be foolish to sack him now or at the end of the season, because you would get another manager coming in who would have different ideas and you're just wasting money. I do think it's the wrong time to talk about a contract, but if he gets the job done, i.e. would progress, then I wouldn't be surprised if he does get offered a new contract at the end of the season, because it shows that we've got that longevity, that we want to be there for the long term. Because don't get me wrong, like, the board would love another Arsene Wenger who brought success, sustained periods, played good football. They'd love that. They'd love to do that again. But that's going to take time. And I just think it would be foolish if we did get to sack Arteta now, because we've invested so much in the team now. And, if you're not believing in the manager, you're not going to give them money, are you? Well, unless you're stupid like Everton, I suppose.
They ain't sacking him. Unless anything goes drastically wrong, he's here for another couple of years at least, I think.
Exactly. And if he is,
they're bought into the project.
And if he is, like I said, then he will get another contract, and that will show the commitment to any players that come in as well, knowing that the manager who signs them is there for the long term. And that does matter. If players are signing, they generally do sign for the manager as much as the club. And if, like we said earlier, that, some of the players have singled out Arteta as the reason that they signed for the club. I've heard, I think, Ramsdale podcast with Ben Foster's podcast was saying
that was great.
It was brilliant, wasn't it? Really good. He was saying Arteta was constantly calling him. I want him, like, and you're going to have to compete for your place, but I believe in you. I want you. Players love that, and he wouldn't have signed for Arsenal had Arteta not been sure he was going to be there. So. Yeah, I don't really believe it right now, but end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a new 2-year contract or a 2-year extension.
People keep pointing the finger saying, "Oh, we can't sign players because of Arteta." Mate, you just said it in the comments there, but maybe it's the other way around. Everyone knows he's only contracted until the end of the season, so maybe it's the other way. Are people asking, is he going to be managing next season? Because I want to know either way. People quick to point the finger when it's negative, but maybe it works the other way as well.
No, I'm sure it does as well, because players want stability in their career as well, don't they? They don't want to keep managers changing every 6 months. I mean, Liam, I know it does seem unlikely that Arteta's going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, what do you think he would need to do to actually be sacked then? Because, the last 2 seasons haven't gone great in the league. This season's been very hit and miss. We're in a better position, but a lot can go wrong still or go right. We'll have to see. I mean, do you think if we're out of Europe again, do you think that might be that they might say that's it now, or do you think he'll be given? We have spent a lot of money on his players that he's wanted, or do you think they're going to give him another chance anyway?
I think, like George said, unless it's very drastic, I think he stays regardless. Even if we finish.
What's very drastic though? What's very drastic?
For us, I'd say maybe. I honestly genuinely believe it'd have to be like us finishing 12th or 13th. I think even if we finish 9th or 10th, I genuinely believe he still stays. Just purely on the basis is we have got the youngest team in the Premier League. It is going to take time to gel. And I think they just basically said, look, in a way, we'll scrap the first 6 months because you're a new manager, you had COVID, everything going on. He didn't really have January transfer window. Then he sort of did, and he was getting rid of a lot of deadwood. And even now in the transfer window, I know that we've said about, the incomings, but actually, look at the last summer and stuff like that, that the outgoings have actually been just as impressive as the incomings. And you have to give him some credit that he's done well, that within this sort of certain period, we've got rid of a lot of bad players. We've had to just rip up contracts because I think we've just had to, because they're a big contract and no one's going to take them. And, you look at the Mustafi, Ozil and Kolas in that situation, they all seem to be very rotting within this team. They were very bad blood, and he's got rid of them. And I do believe, and I love that you'd probably remember it when Kieran Tierney has spoken about Arteta in the sense of he blows their mind when he says, right, we're going to play this team. This is what is, by the way, this is what's going to happen. When they get the ball at this particular stage, this is going to happen. He's going to go there. And they go, he says it, and then it happens. And we're like, how has he seen that? Clearly, regardless of what, the geezer is a genius. There's no doubting that. It's not coming out enough. As I said, it's the same as the players. It's a novice. Look at Sacco. At times you go, how is he doing what he's doing? But you get frustrated at him because you don't see it enough. And I think that's what it is. There's a build-up of frustration from Arteta because you see that in there is generally, for me, there is an absolute genius in there. It's just not coming out enough. And I think that's why there's so much talk about him, because it's frustration from the fans. Why are we not seeing it enough? What is holding him back? But I just think regardless, because of the whole situation and the plan, no matter what, he is here for at least another 18 months to push us on again next season and really see how far he can push this young team.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree that that's what's going to happen. I mean, you're saying a genius. I think there's a very fine line sometimes between genius and madness, isn't there? Yes. And I think Arteta's maybe right on that line at times. And he does seem to overanalyze everything. He seems to overthink it all. And maybe that's right, what you said about, what some of the players have said. The fact that he's analysing it that deeply isn't necessarily a good thing, I don't think, because it comes out in the players. It's almost like sometimes he's like playing a computer game and he's controlling them with his little controller on the side, and that's how it is. And I don't know, sometimes I think, they need a little bit more freedom and stuff like that. And, he is a young manager and he's learning and he's making mistakes. Sometimes he's making the same mistakes continually, which is frustrating. He's not making enough in-game changes to influence games. We very rarely come from behind to win under Arteta. In 2 years, I think we've done it 3 times or something like that. Something ridiculous. He doesn't make in-game changes to change the result. If we're losing a game, he'll keep doing the same things and it's not working and it doesn't work and we lose. And it's like, well, we could see that's not working. Why can't you change something? Someone said the other day, the Burnley game, why didn't he at some point in the second half change Saka and Martinelli at different wings, just swap them over for 10 minutes, just to give Burnley something different to think about? And he kept playing the same way, sticking crosses into the box for their 2 centre halves. And he's like, change it. It might not work, but at least change it and see. And if it doesn't work, at least everyone can see, well, at least you try to change it. And that's the frustration for me. I don't see him making those changes. He might sometimes change personnel. Often it's like for like, or he doesn't change tactically enough for me. But anyway,
you know what makes me laugh about that? I do agree, and I agree that Arteta has made mistakes. I've mentioned it on this channel plenty of times that he is learning his trade. But you look at what Arsene Wenger did. No one had a problem with him doing the same thing over and over again for the first 10 years, did they? But then the second 10 years, when he didn't have the caliber of players that he had in the first period, then it became a problem because it wasn't what everybody had expected. So,
no, but exactly, isn't it? Yeah, when obviously, if Arsene Wenger was winning trophies in the first 10 years and we were competing and successful,
by doing the same thing over and over again,
yeah,
and that's
but
how
it worked.
We did it.
It was working, though, wasn't it? And with Arteta, he's doing the same thing over again, and they're not working consistently enough. Occasionally they do, but more often than not, they're not. And that's the difference, isn't it? And surely he's got to understand, he's got to make change. I mean, I know, I don't like comparing different managers, but George Graham, when he was at Arsenal, he would change things during the game if it wasn't working. He would just change it. And he wouldn't care about changing it because he'd do what was the right thing for the team. He'd make substitutions or he'd change the shape of the team. He went 3 at the back when we were top of the league chasing the league title. Nobody did that before. That was unheard of. And he ended up winning us the league doing it. So I don't know. I don't see Arteta being that innovative. I think he's a very good he's very good at the kind of the coaching side of it and tactically setting out his team. But he's not flexible enough to change it when it doesn't work. And that's maybe a problem that we've got, but we'll see. Hopefully he'll learn because he is still learning. He's young and hopefully he will evolve and become a much better manager overall on the back of all of this. I just hope that it doesn't take too long because, time's ticking as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I know some of you guys are a little bit younger than me and maybe don't mind waiting another 10 years to see a league title. really don't want to wait that long personally, because who knows what's going to happen. We've got a great comment actually from Tom in the chat. He says, I think we should give a shout out to Isla Caton, the 7-year-old West Ham fan who sadly passed away after 5-year battle with cancer. Yeah, God bless her. No, exactly. Yeah, that was very sad news. I think it was today, wasn't it? That sort of came out. Obviously, she's been ill for a long time. And that was, I think we need to, things like that make you appreciate what you've got in life, actually, doesn't it? There's nothing more than your health that you can have, really. And that's really sad.
I think West Ham put it on the outside of the London Stadium.
Yeah, they did. They did. It's great, isn't it? I mean, it was a similar thing was that Bradley, obviously, a couple of years ago, that young lad as well, football fan. It shows how football can kind of, it's a big community, isn't it? Whatever team it is, it doesn't matter, does it? Football's a community, and it's great when you see things like that happening, when people come together and stuff like that. And Terry says there, well said, Tom, R.I.P. Isla, indeed. We all echo that as well. So, a little bit sad news that was, but so what West Ham did was fantastic, actually, and it's great that football can produce that. There's not many other things in your life that can kind of give you that community feeling, is there really? And I think football's always done that pretty well, even in the dark times. And it's nice that, I think, football takes up a lot of our time, so it takes up a lot of our life, hasn't it, over the time. And it sometimes it feels like it's time that we've wasted. Maybe you can look back on it and think, oh, I wasted all those years and stuff like that. But ultimately, you're not, are you? Because it's such an important part of life, everybody's life. And it's great that we're all a part of it as well, really, I suppose. Terry says he said, since Arteta's been here, I don't see any improvement under Arteta. He can't even motivate the players. At times it looks that way. I totally agree. Improvements, we'll have to see where we are at the end of the season, because if we finish 8th again, then obviously there's no improvement, is there? But if we are back in Europe, then he's done the job for this season that he needed to do. And ultimately, that's what he's there for, I guess. But it's frustrating, and we'll have to maybe suffer a few more frustrations, I'm afraid, before we maybe get where we all hope to be again, because I kind of miss those days. You watch videos of the Invincible team and this, that, and the other, and you kind of miss that, don't you? You miss those great days, seeing us lifting the big trophies and even just challenging for the big trophies. And I kind of quite like to see that again at some stage. Hopefully within 10 years, I'm hoping for. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I don't think the club have quite the same ambitions as what we do, maybe. Anyway, fantastic. Thanks to all you guys for being on the show tonight. A little bit of a bigger panel. It was good though. Melvin, where can people find you?
Obviously on this panel every Tuesday to get my fix. Mainly I'm on the Mr. Arsenal, Ryan Arsenal show, and also from Dale Square to Ware, and also on Twitter. Thanks again, Richard. Nice to be on. Great panel again tonight. So nice little five-a-side tonight.
It was a good five-a-side, a nice little five-a-side team, actually. Maybe we need to get that sorted out one day. Adam, as well as always, where can people find you?
Yeah, great to be here again. Thank you very much. As always, find me every Tuesday. Find me on Twitter as well, although I won't be on there tonight, given the mini meltdown I've just seen. So, I've swerved that for about 2 days, I think.
It's probably best to avoid Twitter at times, actually. But anyway,
yes.
Dorothy as well in your new shirt. Fantastic. Thanks for coming on again. Where can people find you?
Pleasure, mate. Yeah, same as Melv on here most Tuesdays, and then just head over to my Twitter. Drop a follow and say hello. Thanks for having me on again.
No problem at all. And Liam, your first time, enjoyed it?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's good. It's been a long time in the making coming on. It's unfortunately, like I say, life takes over sometimes.
It does, unfortunately. Priorities, isn't it? I guess. Where can people find you if they want to? I'm sure they do. Yeah,
well, hopefully they do. If they do, the handle's there, LKennedy89. I was prior to this season on Anything Arsenal, part of the trio. So do go and have a look at the guys. But again, just due to life, wasn't able to commit to it. But tend to find me again, like Melvin said, on Mr. Arsenal's channel, especially with the Who Am I quiz, and try and take your crown, Rich, at some point. And hopefully see me again on here in the future.
No, definitely be great to have you back on again. So it's been a while. I've been trying to get you on a while. I know it's like you said, life gets in the way. It's not always easy, is it? You have to put time and stuff. But it's great to have you on, and great to have all the other guys on as well. Thanks to all you guys in the chat as well. Been some quite good stuff there. Obviously, Tom, as always, Terry as well. Russ was in earlier. The truth sets free. We won't call a Spurs fan because he's not a Spurs fan. He's really an Arsenal fan in disguise. Good to see you in the chat again. I say Russ was in earlier as well, a few others as well. So thanks all you guys for watching. If you haven't done so, please give it a like before you leave as well. And if you are new here, please consider subscribing. I'll be back on Thursday for the Arsenal women against Brighton in the WSL. Watch along at that game. That is going to be good. Top of the league, the women doing really well. Some great new signings there. So we look forward to that on Thursday. That's I think that's 7:30 kickoff. So I'll be live about 7:15 for that one. Friday, we got the women's show at 7:30. So join me for that. We'll be looking back on the week in the Arsenal women. It's been a decent week, reasonably decent week so far. Hopefully Thursday will be good. And then on Sunday, it's a women's weekend actually, because the men aren't playing as we know, but the Arsenal women are in the FA Cup on Sunday at 12:30. I'll be covering that game as well against London Lionesses. So if you like the Arsenal women, please join me over the next few days for that. Terry says there, great show, Richard, Melvin, Adam. He's calling you Kennedy. It's Liam actually.
I'll take that. It's been called worse.
He's been called worse, exactly. We've all been called worse, don't worry. And he's Endorsey as well. And thanks for your views, even though they're wrong. Well, that's fair enough. That's what it's all about, isn't it? We can't all agree with each other. Otherwise, it'd be boring, wouldn't it? So, yeah, thanks to all you guys. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you Thursday for the women. Thanks to Melvin, Adam, Dorsey, and, of course, Liam. Speak to all you guys soon. Take it easy. Enjoy the rest of the week. And we'll see you soon. Of course, as always, come on, you Gunners. Speak to you soon, guys. Take it easy. See you Thursday.
See you later.
Ta-ra.